All right, here we go. Lesson 6. We are still doing division. And this time we're going to be doing division in an array model. So remember, that array model we learned last week when we were doing multiplication. So an array is a drawing with rows that represents a problem, right? Okay, here we go. We will be able to interpret the unknown in division using the array model. So we don't know what the unknown is. It could be the number of groups. It could be the size of the group. We don't know what that is. So we need to figure out in a problem, which one is it? We're also going to learn a new term today called quotient. Okay, so you will understand what that means very soon. Before we dive into the lesson, we are going to, as always, do our application problem. And that, if you would like to do it with me, and would like to write it down, which I always think is amazing when you guys do that stuff, is on page 35. Page 35. Okay, so before we get started, make sure you have, so pause the video if you don't have your whiteboard, your dry erase marker, and your eraser for it, okay, because we will need that today. All right, here's our application problem. 20 children play a game. Oh, do we know the total? I think we do. There are 5 children in each team. Oh, do we know the size of the group? We do. We know that there's 5 children on each team. How many teams play the game? We want to write a division sentence to represent the problem. So, remember our RDW. We read it. Now we are going to draw it, and they also want us to do a multiplication or a division sentence. So we're also going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and set up that. Okay, so that way I can just fill it in. Now I'm going to find what my important numbers are. Ooh, I have an important number right here. 20 children. I know that's important because that's telling me the total. There's 20 children that are going to play this game. And I know when I'm doing division, my total always goes first, right? 20, so I'm going to put that there. There are 5 children on each team. Ooh, that's another important number. 5 children. So that is the size of the group, right? And that also can be put here. Size of the group. So I know that's 5, right? Now I need to figure out what this is right here. What is the quotient? Oh my goodness, that's a new word for us. What does it equal? So the quotient is this number right here. I'm going to draw a picture. And so I know I need to get to 20, and I know the size of the group is 5, right? So I'm going to start here. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's one group. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's my second group. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So did I get to my total? I did. And do I have 5 people in each group? I do. So now I have to figure out the number of groups. That is what I'm trying to figure out here. The number of groups. How many groups do I have? Let's see. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 groups. Did I figure out my problem? I did. Remember, if I'm going too fast, you can always rewind it and you can pause it. All right, now I'm going to write my sentence, which I don't think I did on lesson 5 now that I'm thinking about it. All right, so here is my sentence. It says how many, so because my question was, how many teams play the game? How many teams are playing the game? So the number of groups, the number of teams. And I'm going to put there are 4 teams playing the game. Done with that. All right, here we go into the lesson. Okay, our first one, we have 8 divided by 2 equals 4. And remember, 4, that's our new term. That's what it equals, right? That is also called a quotient. Right? Fancy, fancy term. So if 8 is the total, because we know that the first number in division, that's always the total. And 2 is the size of the group. So how many are in each group? So here's the size of the group. Hopefully you guys can see that. You can. Okay, good. What are we trying to find? So what is this? If we know the size of the group, what is this for? What does that represent? Oh, you know what? Since we know the size of the group, this must be the number of groups or the number of rows. Remember, rows and groups, same thing. So that is what we are trying to find, is the number of groups. So now I'm going to draw an array to help me solve this. Since I know the size of the group, that's how I'm going to start my array. So I'm going to draw my first group, 1, 2, there's my first group, 3, 4, there's my second group, 5, 6, there's my third group, 7, 8. So now I have 4 groups. I have 4 groups of 2, and my total is 8. All right. So now we're going to do this one. Okay, so on this one, here is 18 divided by 6 equals 3. And if 18 is the total, so this is the total, and 6 is the number of groups. Oh, they switched it on us. So now this is the number of groups. What are we trying to find? So what is this? Think about that. What do you think this 3 represents? Well, we know it's not the number of groups, so it must be the size of the groups, right? How many are in each row or in each group? So let's draw an array for this. This one can be a little trickier to do, so I want you guys to watch really closely on how I do this. So when you do your independent work, you know how to draw an array for this. If you want to watch this more than once, I would highly suggest to rewind it and watch it again. So the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to get 6 groups set up. And so this is how I'm going to do that, because remember, a row also equals a group. So rows and groups are the same thing. Here's 1 row, 2 rows, 3 rows, 4 rows, 5 rows, 6 rows. So now I have 6 groups or 6 rows, right? But I need to get to 18. And let's pretend like we don't know that there are 3 in each group, okay? We're gonna pretend we don't know that. So how can I continue to do this and get the correct amount in each row, right? Because we have to have an equal number in each row. Well, we got to 6, right? So all you do is this is the trick. So you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Ta-da! So that's how you do this array. If you don't know, if the unknown, the quotient here is the size of the group. That's how you're going to draw your an array for this, okay? So if you need to watch that again, watch it again to see how I did it. Okay, next up. Okay, so now we're gonna, we drew this array, right? Here's the array. And this array shows 15 divided by 3 equals 5. And where 5 here, this 5, this is the quotient, right? This is what it equals. So that means the answer. That's all the quotient means. That's just a fancy, fancy word for answer. That's all that it means. And in this case, it's representing the size of the group. So if you look at this picture, and I put lines on each of these rows, the 5 is representing the size of this row, the size of this row, and the size of this row, okay? So we're gonna circle the size of the groups. I'm gonna circle this one, and just watch, and this one. And where do you find the quotient in our multiplication equation? Oh my gosh, if we were to put this, now we're gonna write, so they did the division sentence for us, right? We're gonna write this in a multiplication sentence. So I'm gonna rewrite the division sentence. Okay, there's actually two different ways that you could do the multiplication sentence. 2 different ways, which is really crazy. But watch this. Okay, so what if I did, so remember, division is the opposite of multiplication, right? So we know in multiplication, the answers is the total, right? The product is the total. So I'm gonna go ahead and put 15 there. I can write our multiplication sentence 2 different ways, right? I could do 3 times 5 equals 15, right? Where 3, what does 3 represent? That represents the number of rows, right? What does 5 represent? The number in each row, right? How many dots we have in each row. And then I could do the opposite of that. I could switch my factors and I could do 5 here, and 3 here. Where 5 represents what? On my snap, the number or the size of the row, and what does 3 represent on my snap? The number of rows or the number of groups, okay? So this is just for you guys to get familiar with this term quotient. That all you really need to remember is that that means the answer when you're doing division. All right, more practice. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna do this first one for you guys, and then I want you to do the second one with your whiteboard. So we're gonna practice it. So I'll do the first one, so watch this one carefully. This one says 4 rows of 2. 4 rows of 2. And it says write a division and a multiplication equation. Let the quotient, remember that's the answer, represent the number of groups. So they want our answer to represent the number of groups. Okay? So let's set that up. So we have 4 rows of 2. So I know I have 4 rows. So I'm going to go ahead and draw 4 rows. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to draw a line. I like to draw lines, so my drawings are kind of, sort of perfect. Not really perfect, right? No such thing as perfection. Okay, 4 rows of 2. So that means I know that in 4 rows, there is 2 in each row. That's pretty easy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, very interesting. So did I draw my array? I did. So now let's do a division sentence to represent this problem. Do we know what the total is here? What is the total? Think about that. Maybe try and start to count them on your screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is our total. And they want the quotient or the answer right here. This answer needs to be the number of groups, right? The number of groups. So, and this is, if this is the number of groups, what is this? This is the size of the group. Okay. So, what is the size of the group? Well, I know that there are 2 in this group, and there's 2 in this group, and 2 in this group, and 2 in this group, right? So there is 8 divided by 2 equals how many rows? Number of groups. 1, 2, 3, 4. Awesome. So do we do a division sentence for this? Yeah, absolutely. Now we're going to do a multiplication sentence for this. I'm going to do it down here so I have more room. And we already know that the total is 8, right? And in multiplication, the total goes at the end. The product goes at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. So now I just need to figure out, how do I want to set it up? Do I want to put 2 first or 4 first? Well, it doesn't really matter right now. But I'm going to say that I want to put my number of groups here and the size of the groups here. So the number of groups is what? 4. The size of the groups is 2. Ta-da! So we represented it with a division problem, and we made sure that the quotient, or the answer, was the number of groups, because that's what they asked. Okay, and we represented it in a multiplication equation. Now I'm going to show you something that you are going to see on your independent work today. So I wanted to make sure that I went over it before you guys did it. So let's pretend that Miss Kellogg puts 12 pencils. These are my pencils right here, so I drew them out already. 12 pencils into boxes. Okay, so she's going to need more than one box. Each box holds 4 pencils. Okay, each box holds 4 pencils. And so now we need to circle that number. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So each box needs 4 pencils. So I'm going to circle groups of 4. Okay, so now that I circled my groups, I know that the 4 here, that represents what? What does the 4 represent? The size of the group, right? Size of the group. Because if I look at the picture, I can see that each box has 4 in them. So that's the size of the group. What does this one represent? The number of groups. And how many groups do I have? I have, on my snap, 3. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And then I know that 12 is my total, right? Okay, here, let's look at this. So I want you just think about this. The 12 here, what does that represent? That represents our total. 4 represents the size of the group. And 12 represents the, this blank represents what? What do we have left over here? Oh, we have the number of groups. So we should put a 3 here, because that's what we're missing. That is the unknown here, is the number of groups. Good, so Miss Kellogg needs how many boxes? She needs 3 boxes. Now I want to draw this as an array, okay? I'm gonna draw this as an array. I'm gonna do that down here. So I know my total is gonna be 12. I know my number of groups, which is also what? What is that? Oh, it's the number of rows. So I'm gonna do, and the size of the group is what? The size of the group is 4, right? So I could draw this 2 ways, but I'm gonna do it this way. I'm gonna do the size of the group. So I know that I have in each row, in each group, I have 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one group. 5, 6, 7, 8. There's my second group. 9, 10, 11, 12. So now I'm going to check myself. Did I get 3 rows or 3 groups of 12? I did. And are there 4 in each group? Is my size of the group 4? It is. So I did my array correctly. Awesome. All right, so this one I want you guys to do on your own. So I want you to go ahead and draw the stars. Draw this, so write out Miss McAllister has blank bags, and write out the multiplication equation and the division equation, okay? You don't have to write this bottom part though. And then on your whiteboard also put arrays, okay? So pause the video and do that. Okay, so for this problem, I know that I have 9 stars, and I need to put 3 stars into some bags. Okay, 3 stars into some bags, some Ziploc bags. I need to figure out how many bags I need, okay, to do this. So what do I know? I know that I have a total of 9, and I know that the size of my groups are 3, so I can start circling my stars, right? I can circle this one, and this one, and this one. So go ahead and circle those, and then I want you guys to, this is where I want you to do it on your own, right? I want you to figure out what is the number of groups, that is our unknown here, and what is the factor here. Okay, so this is also the number of groups, right? And then I want you to draw an array for this equation. So down here, draw an array. So go ahead and pause the video and try that out, and see if you can figure out how many bags do I need. Okay, so now that we already circled our groups, right? Now I need to figure out what is the number of groups. Well, that's easy. I can just count them, right? 1, 2, 3. I have 3 groups. All right, so now I know that division is the opposite of multiplication. So I am just going to put this one right here, because I know 3 times 3 equals 9. 3, 6, 9. And I know 9 divided by 3 equals 3. So how many bags do I need? I need how many bags? 3. Now you should draw, and you should also draw an array. So my array would look something like this. If I knew, I'm going to do the size of the group. Okay, it's how I'm going to draw my array. So I know I have my size of my group, 1, 2, 3. So I have 1 row, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So my array should look like this. Hopefully this is what you guys got, or got something similar, because that is what you are going to see on your independent work now. Okay, so you guys will be doing page 37 and page 38. What I want you to remember on page 37 is you're going to do problem 1 and 2, okay? They're similar, but this one says use an array to model problem 1. So you need to go back up to problem 1, look at what you did here to solve problem 3, okay? All right, good luck on your problem set.